Hi everyone. I'm going to attempt to make this video. My neighbors are being particularly noisy today, so I don't know how that's going to go. I have mentioned before in one I think of my videos that I didn't really plan on getting into like personal issues in my videos or addressing those. Of course, I have seen where some other whisperers are kind enough to sort of tell their stories about their sorrow, anxiety, and depression in an effort to help, anyone else who's going through those problems. And my reasoning for not doing it is not because I'm averse to those subjects, but because I just didn't sort of feel comfortable with opening that dialogue on YouTube, because as we all know, YouTube commenters can just be sometimes the worst. But anyway, my favorite whisperer, Amandine LeLoup, has a video where she actually tells the story of how her life came to be the way it is now, and it was so touching, and it very much highlights how a tragic event or something bad in your life can be the start, the catalyst for a really big positive life change. So before I sort of reflect on that, I just wanted to see if I could summarize my sort of, myself, and because of what's important to me is being patient and being calm and not getting incensed and not lashing out at people and trying to be a positive force in the world. And these things, may all sound very well and good, but they weren't really my concerns previously. So as far as my life goes, from about the age of 9 on, I was abused, initially physically by my father, and then as adolescence came and I got a baby brother, it became emotional abuse and physical abuse from both of my parents, and neglect, and they would also, things like they didn't want me to eat food, and it was just really stressful to live in that household. Through it all, I never really felt like a victim, in the sense that I never felt like, why are they doing this to me? I'm not good enough. But I always knew that it was wrong and that I deserved better. So, the police were never really a help. I don't know if anyone's really experienced this, and I hope that you haven't, but the police, at least the police in Central Florida, don't tend to intervene in domestic violence situations with children, with child abuse, if you live in a really nice house, because they figure it can't be all that bad. But that's not true. So anyway, when I was 18, I ran away with my then girlfriend, now boyfriend. He's transgendered. And he had always been like a little bit of a depressed person due to his own issues. But that came to a crisis, I don't know, about 5 years ago, because he ran into a huge bout of death anxiety, and he was consumed with fear because of the thought that he may not exist. Well, he wouldn't exist one day. Death had never bothered me. I'm not a religious person, but death being what it is, to me at the time was just an absence of existence, meaning that there was no need to, feel sad about it, because you would feel nothing. I've never been, before then, spiritual or religious, very actually anti-religious, given a lot of hate that comes out of the church and superstition and stuff like that. The first round of death anxiety was crippling. I often had to take time off of work to take care of him. He cried all the time. He could barely function. He couldn't go to work for a long time, and he had to be put on medication. It took about a year for everything to kind of get normal, and then a year after that, it happened again. And that night that it first came on again, I started to talk to him about the nature of the universe and of consciousness. And these had never really been things that I discussed or studied myself before, but I don't know, these things all just sort of started coming out of my mouth. And it helped him get to sleep that night. And then the next day he started doing some research, and in his research started to come across the same sort of things that I had been saying. And this was an unusual moment for me because, I don't know, I just hadn't spent time thinking about those things, but I guess in a way that I was right. And if anything, it made sense just because I just knew it to be true. So, because of his death anxiety, he started to research sort of scientific analysis of the possibility of an afterlife and of non-local consciousness, and we just started going down this road. Previous to that, we had started meditating, and one day in meditation, I have to say I never believed in astral projection before, but I can't really go into it in detail just because I don't really like to talk about the things that I experience in meditation, just because it's almost disrespectful in a way. It sort of cheapens it, and it kind of brings the ego into, look what I did. But anyway, I had this amazing, unbelievable experience, and so it sort of got me thinking, of course, like, not that it was a huge paradigm shift for me, but that there could be something else to life. So where we're at now, due to, I really can't stress, I'm kind of like a deadpan person just because I'm so mellow all the time, but I really, really, really want to stress how absolutely crippling and awful it was to see my boyfriend go through the death anxiety and to be a part of it. It's depressing, it's miserable, it's awful, and I'm a very empathetic person, so it was really hard not to take on that emotion from him. But we've come out of it better people, and we have a much more profound love for life and the earth and the people around us, and it is terribly important to us to be a positive force in the world. There's so much suffering, and I don't think people really understand the depth of it, of their misery and their, discontent, and it's sad. If everyone just could grow a little bit as a person, I think that a lot of changes could be made in our society and in our world. Of course, that's really not, I don't judge where someone is at. I hope the best for them, even if they're really self-centered and negative and awful. They will eventually learn. They will learn. And if you're mean to others, that sort of negativity is what you put out in the universe. That's what you reap what you sow. So I really want to stress to everyone to take a look at your actions and always consider why you're doing the things that you're doing if it's something negative. One of the things that I liked as we were researching religions, because I really think now that religions are very interesting. I don't follow any one of them in particular, though I am most aligned with Buddhism. But you will find that almost every religion that exists, and I'm not just talking about the ones that everyone knows about, like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Zionism, there's so many of them. There are hundreds of religions, and almost every single one of them has some form of the tenet, do unto others. Meaning, of course, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which at its base meaning really just means do good, because if that's what you would want, that's what you should do. One of the things that came up that Amandine said in her video about her life story that I really liked is that she mentions that it's important to, live your life. And she says, carpe diem, which does not mean just do for yourself and, party and just be self-indulgent all the time. It literally means, do the most you can and the best you can with every day that you're given. And I like that because I think that sometimes, it's pretty common for people to sort of almost get it. And that's because no one's perfect, We start to understand a little bit, but we might not see the whole picture. So when someone thinks, hey, I could die, one day and I might have to regret these things, I don't want to have regrets when I die. And so you stop short of the ultimate, the highest goal there, and you go, well, then I'm just gonna do everything, indulgent. I'm just going to follow every passion, and then that can be really good. I think that people should take time out for themselves and enjoy, just the wonder of life. But I think that it should not just be about yourself. I think that, the most wonderful thing that someone can do with their life is to help others, even if it's in some small way. So I would so I decided, when I saw Amandine's video, I was inspired to sort of reach out and sort of voice this opinion, because I think that if just one person has these ideas, and they're supported, that's worth it. And if just one person sort of considers their actions more, considers the feelings and motivations of another person more often in life, then it's worth making this video and sort of exposing myself. So I don't know, it's just one of those things where I never really imagined that I would be a spiritually minded person, but I am, and I get really sad because, not terribly, I'm not a melancholy person, but in our society, we really we consider emotional, empathetic sort of people, sensitive people, to be very weak. But it is a strength to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to see beyond the mask that we all put on, to see what our ultimate motivation is. And one of the things that I find myself telling people is that when you meet someone who's mean, we always say, like, that person, he's such, you can curse them out or whatever. The thing about it is that no one who's happy is ever mean. No one who is content with themselves and their life ever has a reason to lash out. So whenever you see somebody that has to exert their will over other people, they're insecure, and when they lash out, they are afraid, and when they put themselves before everyone else, they feel like no one else cares about them. So when you see somebody who's really mean, do what you have to get by, especially if they're actually, trying to harm you, but always remember that that person isn't a monster, that they're a person, something bad has happened to them, probably repeatedly, and maybe their whole life. And another thing about bad things that happen to you, nothing bad actually ever happens, but we perceive that thing as bad. Our life is entirely objective, and it is our consciousness that makes it subjective. The best example I like to give is that, like, when someone is in a car accident, we might all consider a car accident to be a negative situation. But that's not true, because one person can get into a car accident and they're totally upset. They might have been hurt, and so that's bad. They might, not want their car to be damaged. They might not have the money or want to spend the money getting it fixed. It's from their perspective, it's a bad situation. But in another situation, someone can get into a car accident and be happy because they didn't like that car and it was failing them, and so they'll get money from their insurance company, and they might say, oh, I missed work that day, but it works out for me. So we always have to remember that it's all about subjectivity, and it's all about context, and it's all about one person's particular perspective. We are all only separated by perspective, and I think that if more people remembered that there isn't actually much keeping one person suffering from being your own, we would put more consideration in our actions. So, I don't know, this was kind of all over the place, and I have my little birds here to help me. But, like I said, this is not really meant to be the most relaxing ASMR video. This is kind of just like a quiet vlog type thing. I just want you all to know to move through life with compassion and be the best people that you can. Don't let anybody turn you into a bitter person, Don't let anything that happens to you make you lose your faith in humanity and just start becoming negative all the time. Don't do that to yourself, because it's not good for your body. It's literally not. Anyway, ciao. Thanks for watching.